Hello, my name is Igor Sandman. I'm a pixel artist. I make a pixel art piece every day. The topic of the day is beach. I'm thinking maybe I could try some tiles. I want to make a top-down view, a bit like in Zelda Link to the Past, and practice my tiling. So I will make two tiles probably, one for sand, one for water, and yeah, that's it. Before I begin, so yesterday I answered a few questions from Pixel Noob from Twitter. Well, I answered one question, but he had several. But I got another question from Reddit, and I would like to answer that one first, well, today, and then come back to Pixel Noob's question tomorrow. The question is coming from Harry Penguin 7. He's asking, he's saying that he knows how to draw, and he's going into pixel art now, and he would like some advice on finding down his process and his style. It's an interesting question, and it's kind of related to Pixel Noob's questions, which is why I'm inserting the question here. So I see two questions: the style thing, finding your style, and then when you know how to draw, how do you transition to pixel art? So I will try to be organized and hopefully answer in a more clear manner than yesterday. So finding your style. The way I find my style is I look at a lot of pixel art. I build a visual library of all the things that I like. I try, by visual library I mean it two ways, in my mind, but also I have a folder on my hard drive where I store every picture that I find and I like. I have a folder for every artist that I like, and I put everything in there, and every once in a while I will go and check them out, you know, get inspired, and I will sometimes also study them. I mean, like really studying them. If it's a pixel art piece, because I'm not only storing pixel art, right? I'm taking stuff from all over the place. But when it comes to pixel art, the good thing about it is it's very controlled. You know, your pixel, it's either here or here. It cannot be in between. So if you look at a pixel artist work, which is very low resolution, where every pixel is placed at a very deliberate place, you can study. You can copy, if you want, an exact copy of it. You can create an exact copy of it by placing the same pixels in the same place and try to understand what they are doing. You can do that in pixel art. You cannot really do that in drawing, because in drawing you won't be. It's not so controlled and so constrained in the two dimensions. So yeah, every once in a while I will go pick up a picture from a pixel art from a pixel artist I like, and try to understand why I like it, what he does, where he places pixels, and why he does it. I try to put myself in his mind, where he puts his shadows and why he did it, how much shadow there is, how dark they are. And your style will come from, my style comes from that. I'm not very confident advising you to do the same, but maybe it will work for you. Maybe it won't, but it doesn't hurt to try, right? So that's building a visual library and studying other people's work. Then about transitioning from drawing to making pixel art. One second, I need to think because it's a bit complicated. Let me explain what I'm doing here. I'm creating a tile of 16 by 16, then I'm crossing it with a line here in diagonal. I'm going from one angle to the other, and when I do that, I'm already thinking of what it would look like if it was tile, but then I can try it by just duplicating it. And I know when I look at this, I know I will need something here and maybe here, but I'm not sure. Actually, yeah, probably here too. I will need two something like this. I will have to change this, but just to show you. So I know I will need stuff there, and if I do that, you can see that in fact I did, and it's already looking nice. So that's how I create my tiles. So where was I? Transitioning from drawing to painting pixel art. It's very different, right? Drawing requires a lot of execution, because it's not, as I just explained, it's not so constrained in your canvas. If you draw on a piece of paper, your line can be a million different places on the piece of paper. So it's hard to reproduce the same line over and over again. Whereas in pixel art, it's on a grid. So that's the big difference between the two. And I think it's important to realize that. The sooner you realize that, the better, because I know a lot of what I'm going to say. You should take it with a grain of salt, because it depends on the individual. But I know a lot of pixel artists are making their pixel art with a stylus, and I personally wouldn't recommend it. But if it works for you and if it's good for you, just do it. All right? I'm not trying to discourage you from doing it, because it depends on every individual. But since you need to place every pixel in the right place, you have much more control with the mouse to place it exactly where you need it, right? Whereas with a stylus, you would come around here and then place it, and by the time you click, your stylus already moved, right? It's not always easy to control. Also, you might have to move things around, like I could have to select this and move it 2 pixels to the right. With a stylus, not sure it's the best tool to do it. So yeah, that's about control. Another difference, let me see how to phrase this. Well, it's not just the difference between pixel art and drawing, but when you draw, drawing is very linear, whereas painting is more like an iteration. You can paint your silhouette, like something like this, and then come on top of it and add things. You will think more in terms of value and contrast, whereas when you draw, you will have to, if you want to make the same kind of stuff, you will have to create an outline, and it's more linear, right? Linear when I say linear, I mean the process. You start here and you end there, right? Whereas when you paint, you create all of this and then you add on top of it. And it's especially true for pixel art and maybe oil painting. I never tried oil painting, but what my understanding of it is that it's very similar to pixel art. You go from dark to light, or you could go from light to white, but you go from one layer to another layer, and you add on top of all of your layers. Same kind of thing in pixel art. It's quite close to painting, I guess. Pixel art, I mean. Let me check my tile. So now I know I need to update this part, which is this part right here. So I don't have a big square. And I need to expand here. Trying to think if there's something else. Your understanding of your volume, it depends on how good you are with drawing. Some sketch artists are very good at representing volume with lines, like Akira Toriyama, for instance. With just one line, you know what kind of shape he's drawing, right? It's very volumetric and very understandable in a 3D environment. So depending on how good you are with it, you might have to learn it if you're not so good with it. I know I'm not very good at showing volume with line, so I had to learn both skills separately. Do I like this, or do I want to modify it? I would like to shift it slightly. I need to think. I will come back to the question in a second. Right now what I don't like is the way they reach here and they separate here, and then they reach again and separate again. I would like to try and overlap a little bit, but I'm not sure I can do that. I will try and modify the let me check again. So I think that's because this one here is coming too high. Something like this might work better. Let's try. Yeah, it's better. Now I would like to get this to be broader, which is this one, or maybe, let me think. No, actually I like it like that. This should be a bit broader right here, so that's here. It's a bit complicated to identify where you want to add pixels when you are making tiles, but I think it gets easier with experience. Yeah, that's closer to what I want. Let's try again. Nope. What is this? No. I got an angle here that I want to get rid of, and it's actually created by this intersection right here. What can I do? I can do this. Yeah, that's working. Nope, that's not working. I got a new angle that popped up here, but it's easy to fix. It's gone. I'm not very happy with the flow of my line. It was better before, and I screwed it up because I tried to change things that didn't need to be changed. What should I do? I don't want to start over because I want to keep going. Let's try and get rid of these. See what I've got. Alright, so what I might want to do is make this. Or actually, let's try to be bolder with this. So on this side is good, and on this side it's not good. So let's try and increase the size of this one, like this maybe. It's kind of working. I think the angle is a bit steep. Well, the curve is a bit steep. Let's see. Nah, kind of like it. So the only one I might want to change is this one. On its own it looks great, but maybe I need to do that. Might look a bit geometric now. Let's see. Alright, let's keep that. I just want to make sure this is a bit higher, like this. And I should be fine. No, it's too high. Let's try that. A lot of back and forth, right? But that's the way it is with styles. I don't like this curve right here. I will end up coming back to what I had in the first place, which was this. Alright, let's keep that. So what I will do is I will duplicate one of them. I will rename it so I know what it is. And I keep it as a copy. As a backup, I mean. So I can flatten everything and work in a an environment that's easier to manage. I can flatten everything. And I've got a sand background. Now I will create a new tile for the water. Trying to think if there's anything else I want to add to the volume. Coming from drawing to pixel art, I was talking about volume. I was saying that when you draw, you need to pay attention to volume, and sometimes you can get away without volume when you draw because it's just lines and it works. A lot of people can draw, but they can't represent volume with line. It's not it's just a skill among other skills, right? You don't need to be able to represent volume with your lines. But when you come to pixel art, you will probably need to represent volume. So if you are the kind of sketch artist who doesn't worry too much about volume, you might have to learn that skill when you come to pixel art. And learning about volume is, as I said earlier, is thinking in terms of layers, getting your colors on top of one another, and thinking in terms of volume also, in terms of value. I mean, sorry. Values are very important. Values is, in case you don't know, values is, so you have hue, saturation, and brightness here. Values is actually this value here, or this parameter here. It's the brightness of your color. That's not it. I think this is the one. Well, anyways, on this, I was trying to get it here, but on this, the value is from bottom to top, right? So if you are in a gray color, this is a dark value, this is a light value. The darkest value is black, and the lightest value is white. And your values are actually what's in between your lightest color and your darkest color. And that's creating contrast between this light color and this darker color. And contrast is quite important. By that, I don't mean that you need to have a high contrast, but you need to think about contrast. That's important. A lot of time I read comments online of people saying your contrasts are not good. High contrast is not a good contrast, in my opinion. But a contrast can be a bad contrast. But it has nothing to do with how contrasty they are. It depends on the relationship between each of your colors, and it's a complicated science, more complicated than you need high contrast. Anyways, so I will create another one here, another flow that's not going the same direction. I need to make this lower, it's too high, something like this. So yeah, thinking in terms of value is important. Every lesson on painting will start with value, I think. That's how important it is. Will this work? Before I add any detail, I make sure it's looking nice. I can probably, it's probably too geometric right now. I can probably shift this guy here. Oh wait, I'm not paying attention. I'm editing the wrong one. So then what was I changing? This right here, something like that. It's a bit unbalanced. I want it to look like it's going in one direction, so it should be rather geometric, but not too much. Something like this might be better. Yeah, it's okay. With details, I guess it's gonna be alright. So next, the foam at the top of the wave and the shadow on top of it. You can see it on the sand, but it's there. I will try and get something like this. Let's see how it tiles. I have an ugly line right there. I need to fix that. Don't know how. Maybe cut it here. Let's try that. Might not look very good because it's just one pixel. Let's try and cut it on the other side also. I think that will work. Yeah, it's nice. I will try and add a shadow on it. Now that I know it works, I would like to add a shadow here. This one is too dark. And this one is almost the same, so I'm not sure a shadow will work. Let's try. It's actually looking nice. I'm checking my tiling very often because I want to make sure it looks good. And it does. Man, I don't know if there's anything else I should say about transitioning from drawing to pixel art. A process, you asked about process. And it's true, it's very important to find a process. I'm assuming you're talking about a process because you found one with your sketches and you have to find a new one for pixel art. That's how I understand your question. And yeah, it's hard because everyone has his own process, right? You need to find the one that works for you. So I'm not sure what I could say about it. My process, maybe I can tell you about it. First, I try to place everything on the canvas as soon as possible. Sometimes I don't follow my own rules every time, you know what I mean? I got a set of rules, but sometimes I forget. And oftentimes when I make a picture that I'm not very happy with, it's because without noticing it, I forgot about my process. But usually I try to get everything in there. Like I did with this one, I try to get this line of blue, this line of teal, and the lighter teal here, and try to make sure they're tiled properly before moving on. That's something you don't do when you draw on paper, right? You don't really do that. Well, you can always draw very lightly and try to draw harder on top of it later, but it tends to make your sketches kind of messy, so it's not always the possible choice. But yeah. Let me check this before I move on. I would like to get to cross the line. That's one thing that I try to do, is to make sure my tiles, the patterns on my tiles, I want to make sure they cross the limit between the two, so it doesn't look too much like it's a bunch of squares pasted one next to one another. So what I want to do is, oops, wrong button. I want to try and create something here that would end here, and maybe I can use this one. Maybe I can do this and close it off. No, this and close it off here, or maybe just here. And now if I tile it, this pixel that I added on that side is appearing on this side now, and it's looking nice. It is breaking the grid that will appear when you reproduce your thing. The same reason why on this tile I created this and this, because if you create something that's just that's tiling on its own, it looks like it can tend to look like it's very geometric. Alright, so I think I've got my C thing, and I'm thinking, do I want to create another tile behind, or should I just use this one? I will duplicate this one, keep it as a copy, water tile. So now I can work with this one and duplicate it a bunch of times. Here, it's looking great, I like it. Then I can flatten it. Something bugs me with it. I think I know what it is. Something is wrong. Let's get rid of that and get back to this. Yeah, this is not what I want. I want this to be like this. But maybe I need one extra pixel. Oops. I want a nice wave, which is why I'm doing this. Yeah, I think it's working now. So yeah, I can keep my duplicates. Let's go over here. and then one last duplicate to keep it as backup. Well, I could have used that one. Doesn't matter. Alright, this should work better. So right now it's going outside of the border, so I will use the crop tool quickly. So now if I move it, it's cropped. It's better like this. Alright, I want to add... First I need to think, do I want this to be higher or not? Maybe I should just add some blue right here and then play with it. And I won't crop this time, so I can change it later if I want. Because if you use the crop tool, you can see it's showing you what's outside. That's useful. The thing that's outside, I can use it anytime. If I want to make the water closer to the top, I can move it. I still have some real estate outside of the frame, which is nice. So I want to add a crab. Not too big. Well, let's try this one. Let's make a small crab. Some shadow. You see, I was talking about volume. That's what I'm thinking right here. I'm seeing this as a sphere. Well, as a spherical shape anyway. So when I do this, I think of this as a spherical shape, and then I decide that this is kind of coming on top of it. You have a sphere like this, and then it's coming like this. I think that's what crabs kind of look like. I don't have a reference under my nose. So now, instead of being a simple spherical shape, it's now this plus that, creating a shadow underneath. So crabs tend to have claws, right? Or pinches. So let's try something like this. And again, to represent the roundness of this and the shininess of it, I will add a small dot of reflection here. Something like this. The guy needs a shadow. But I don't know what I should do for the shadow. Oh man, I'm doing that on the water layer. It's better to keep them separated. What kind of shadow do I want for this guy? I'm tempted to create a black shadow, but I like these eyes. Let's try and add a black shadow and see how it looks. Something like this. Maybe not on top of it, right? Something like this. Not sure. I'll try again, and then I might just give up on the black shadow and try something else. Yeah, I would rather have this as a shadow. But I will try something darker. I'm not sure it will work because you see, I need something lighter than that. Yeah, that's working. Or I could try something closer to gray, but don't think that's a good idea. Let's try brown. It could work, but it's a bit conflicting with the other colors, so I think I will go with this pink, which was nice. Then I need to be careful with my highlight here, and I can put my cute eyes back. I like it. What else could I add? What would you find on a beach? Seashells. Seashells. What color? I'll try the same color and maybe change it later. It's not going to be easy to represent. Well, yeah, this is working. Maybe a sea star. Is that how you call it? Sea star? I will call it a sea star. Okay. Will it be obvious? Well, this color could make it obvious, so something like this, and then use some shadow. It's going to be too big if I do that. I will try and stay inside the silhouette that I have here. It's kind of working. I'll add a shadow. The shadow makes it disappear, right? I think I need that shadow, but maybe I just use this, right? It's still readable as a star, so it's nice. Kind of like it. Let's add, or maybe keep this, or one of them. Nah, it's better like this. Let's try and add an highlight on it, or not. Let's place it. Placement of objects on a canvas like this, it comes down to composition. It's not always easy. I want to avoid having one object every, like something like this. Let me show you. I want to avoid having something like this, you know. So what I might need to do is duplicate things to organize them. This should be on white, on the lighter part, because it's not reading on the darkest. Yeah, the arrangement is kind of working. Right, next I need to place the crab. I won't duplicate this one. Right, what else? Maybe I can. What I like to do is create some indentations like this, just to create some interest here and there. Oh, I know, it's a starfish, right? It's a starfish, I remember now. In French, it's a sea star, literally. What else can I add? I don't think I need to add anything, but I need to worry about the composition. It's kind of nice. I don't want to make it too complicated either. What time is it? 40 minutes? Yeah, I will think about it 5 more minutes and then it's good to go. I don't know. I'm looking at the line. If you connect everything, it's creating a line, right? And I'm trying to create a line that's appealing to the eyes, to the eye. So right now I draw it on top so I can show you. I've created in green since I don't have many greens, and all is light, so I'll use this. So I've got this. It's not appealing, right? It's not very pretty. So what I should do, I think, is move this one and move that one to ease the curves. This one slightly to the left, or maybe remove it completely. And that one, it needs to point to this. So I should probably, I'm not sure this is going to work, because it's not only a matter of tracing a line, right? It's also the distance between things. So right here it wouldn't work, but I can still use it somewhere, I'm sure. I can replace this T star by the dot, but I kind of like it. Or put this here. Or here. Let's trace our line again. Yeah, it's better. Alright, I think I will leave it like that. I kind of like it. It's simple, but I wanted to practice my tiling and composition and whatnot. So there you go, guys. Well, I hope I answered your questions. Tomorrow I will move back to Pixel Noob's questions. That will be, let me see. Where is it? How long have you been doing pixel art? I've answered that already several times, and I've answered it all today actually, so it's been about 2 or 3 years. How to develop are there artists who you admire that helped you develop your style? I talked about style today, and I will talk about my influences tomorrow then. Alright? If you have more questions, guys, don't hesitate to post a comment or come talk to me on Twitter or your social media of choice. Okay? I see you around. Bye bye.